Alrighty, so we're plugging another movie in to the one-shot review system. Today, me and my significant other just went and saw Disney's The Haunted Mansion with a whole bunch of cool people a part of the cast. Um, First off, before I even get into it, I just want to say that I think that this is a really good, fun family, I guess, summer movie, but it might make more sense to watch around October. But yeah. All right. So thinking about the whole experience today, same thing. Made a reservation. My girlfriend does not have the A-list program crap, so I bought her ticket, and then we both were able to scan in, no problem. Things went pretty easy on that front. Then we got the large popcorn and drink combo, and I don't know what it is about those Coke freestyle machines, but they like make you think that you're about to get the exact same thing as what you're clicking on the screen. But like, for example, we got Coke Zero Cherry Vanilla because that sounded like it would taste good and you could never get that shit at the store and what have you. But when you're tasting it, like, this is basically like watered down Coke Zero with some extra flavor. So I don't know if it's like the Coke freestyle machines in general or just picking any flavor outside of the base, like vanilla, not like flavor, but vanilla is in like no change flavor. But anyway, so that's one thing I would say. It makes it taste almost flat, but then when you get like the carbonation from the actual Coke Zero, whatever, in the back of the drink, then it's not flat, but maybe it's watered down. Yeah, like, I don't know. I would just say, I don't know what's up with the Coke freestyle machines. Maybe don't get the extra flavors, even though that's kind of the whole point of those machines. But regardless, like, that out of the way, we walked into the theater. One thing that was kind of annoying was that, I mean, maybe because it is one of the more popular seats you could get or want to have, but we were able to reserve the two seats in the back middle, like the back middle, and these seats were absolutely destroyed compared to the rest of the seats in the theater. So they're like the nice, like sort of newer recliner seats, but just our two seats had the one seat that Mary Elizabeth was sitting in had a giant slash down the back of it. And then my seat's like cup holder area was completely destroyed. Like, it just been used way too many times. Honestly, was not a big deal. The reclining function still worked and the seats didn't feel weird. So I don't really blame them for not fixing it right away. But I would just say, like, it's kind of funny that this exact spot that might be the most popular spot to pick is absolutely destroyed and the rest of the theater looks completely fine. Just kind of interesting. But that being said, when I think about, I guess the next piece of this would be the trailers. I don't remember much about the trailers that we saw. Maybe I should look back into it later because I think there might have been one that I was interested in, but I mean, it was the same stuff I've been seeing recently. They just keep pushing this Blue Beetle movie, which I'll probably go see. But everything else, nothing's really as memorable as some of the other trailers I've seen. I'd still say out of all the ones I've seen this week that the Retirement Plan and the Bob Marley biopic probably seem like the most interesting. But there might have been something that I'm forgetting about. So, I don't know. But getting into the movie. So this movie is Disney's Haunted Mansion, just like the same premise as the Disney's Haunted Mansion from years ago when we were younger with Eddie Murphy. And I have to say that the casting choices on this movie were perfect. And they did something about this movie that was awesome was that, I mean, basically instead of completely redoing the same movie with the same plot and everything, they just took the premise and they made a completely new movie from the same premise. And this new movie, I don't know if the last one was, but this one's set in New Orleans, and the basis being that New Orleans is like, this has a whole paranormal culture around it. That was pretty cool, but really, I mean, the casting was sick. Everybody that they chose, played their role really well. You get into the story where it's basically the setup is, you know, your main family is this mom and her kid who move into the house that happens to be haunted. But then you also have this other guy who used to be an astrophysicist but would work on lenses. And he had a girlfriend that was a ghost tour sort of person. And he created this lens that would allow you to take pictures of ghosts. And after his girlfriend had passed away, or I guess his wife at that point, but after she passed away, he sort of finished the technology, but then he became a laughing stock, and now he's like a bitter, grief-stricken sort of dude. The movie starts out with him being kind of a negative Nancy and being kind of a poo-pooer to what everybody's doing. Like when he initially meets the family to help take pictures of the ghosts, he basically just walks around faking taking pictures with a dead camera. But then the ghost follows him home to his apartment, and that sort of spurs this whole thing where, you know, once they visit the house, they're not allowed to leave, really. I mean, they are allowed to leave, but they have to come back because the ghosts are sort of following them and terrorizing them if they don't come back. But what we end up finding out is that there is some evil ghost that has collected a bunch of souls, and he's the one that's really making the ghosts do the bad things, and that most of the ghosts are just sort of stuck where they are. And there's this sort of cycle of becoming a ghost and killing yourself in this house because of what had initially happened with the first owner, where he was grief-stricken about the loss of his own wife. So that's like the setup of the movie. It's pretty funny. They have the guy, Mary Elizabeth just told me his name in the car, but the guy that I'm talking about, those astrophysicists, was it's that dude that is a co-star in Atlanta, and he's also in that movie Sorry to Bother You, where, you know, like they mutate at the end of the movie and it takes a weird turn. He's also in Get Out as like the butler type dude that's already been taken over. Yeah, he did an awesome job. Like, I feel like everything I watch with him, he freaking kills it. So that part was good. The little kid in this movie was hilarious. I think he has that air about him, like, you know, when you meet kids that are way too adult for no reason, so it's kind of comical. He was that way, and for the part that he played in the movie, that was hilarious. That was perfect. I suck with actor names in this modern time, but the person who played his mom was pretty good. Danny DeVito played this like professor who was obsessed with haunted houses. He was pretty funny. Owen Wilson's character would drop one-liners every now and then. Tiffany Haddish's character as like the medium was hilarious, and I think this was a really good movie for her, basically because, I don't know, like, I think that she does really well in these like comedic roles, which makes sense, but I didn't really like her too much in this movie. But this movie is kind of crazy for multiple reasons if you've seen it. But she did awesome in this one. I feel like it was a perfect role, and she was hilarious. So that being said, I'm not going to really spoil like the main events of the movie because I think that would take all the fun out of going to watch it. But it was awesome. It was your typical, I mean, like nothing like profound or super special, but it's like the return of the Disney summer live action movie, I feel like. They really didn't do anything weird. The movie, the plot made sense. The actions of the characters all made sense. It had that aspect of like, you could take your children to this movie and they wouldn't see anything that they weren't supposed to see. It wouldn't be inappropriate or whatever. But if you're an adult and you go and see this movie, you can enjoy it and you wouldn't feel like you're watching a kid's movie. I think that's pretty cool. Just because, you know, I think that when we were growing up, there were a lot more movies like that, and there's less so and less so as I get older. Like the Coco Melanization of all the child content makes it garbage, and then all the adult content is trying harder and harder to be more edgier and more profound and more whatever. But I like that movies like this can still exist. So I really enjoyed it. And I think the ending, while they sort of like, I don't necessarily understand why the main character, one of the astrophysicist guy, he ultimately made the right choice, but he has like a moment of weakness right before the movie ends, and it just doesn't make sense because he had already sort of learned the lesson throughout the movie. But other than that, I think everything was consistent. It all made sense. There was a little bit of twist that I'm not going to spoil. Um, but yeah, it was good. I think it delivered on everything that it was supposed to do pretty well. So if I think about how I would plug this into the where do you see it, do you see it at home, whatever. I think that, if you're burning to go see a movie and you don't need to see Oppenheimer or the Barbie movie because you've already seen it for some reason, and you're just looking for a good time, I think this movie could absolutely be seen in theaters and maybe should be seen in theaters because it was a lot of fun. Like, go with your friends, go with your family, whatever. That's the move. Honestly, if you're looking to find something to do with your family, like I grew up with a family of, I had two siblings and two parents, and our sibling wise, we were pretty far apart in age, just like staggered, but not too far to where we weren't living together or whatever. But this is a type of movie where our entire family could go and we would have a good time. So I think if you're looking for an opportunity to do something like that, this is a great movie to pick. Um, if you are just a normal person who doesn't have any incentive to go see a movie for some reason, or you're not bored or whatever, or you like watching things at home, then watch it at home. Like, it's not like Oppenheimer or something where you're gonna get such an expanded experience by going and seeing it in some special format or something. This is meant to be seen in theaters and at home. Like, it'll be fine. So I guess I would say see it in theaters if you want. It's not a must see in theaters, but definitely see it in general. It was really good. I think if I'm going to plug this movie into the 5-star rating system, I'm going to have to give this movie a 4 out of 5 for sure. And yeah, I think it's just a good 4, not a low or a high 4. I think it's just a good 4 out of 5, and it seriously delivered on all of its promises and was a really good time. So I would say Disney's Haunted Mansion, it's not a cash grab on the old one. It's definitely worth seeing, and you obviously don't have to see the first one to see this one. So that being said, that's the review, and I will see everybody in the next one.